Okay, ready to start? Instant. Okay, so welcome to the panel, We Talk TV. So here we've got our two voice actors. We've got Paul and we've got Richard here. So round of applause everyone. So we just have a quick first few minutes of our voice actors just talking a little bit about voice acting and how you approach it. So I'm guessing some people in the crowd here are budding voice actors. You know, give it a go. A few of you maybe just interested. So I'll pass it over to you two. Could you just talk us through so when you've got scripts, we've got two scripts here. Like when you first see a script, what goes through your mind? Like what's the process? Will you read it in your head? Will you stop, reading aloud? Basically, what's the process from reading words to actually producing the voice?
Well, there's if you're looking for an audition, so it's the first time you've seen the character, and quite often you don't have a drawing, so all you've got is the lines. And I always approach things. I'm theatrically trained. I'm sure Paul is theatrically trained too. So it all goes back to the words. It all goes back to looking at the script and deciding who the character is and what he might sound like, experimenting with your voice and making sense of the thing. But basically, it's you look at the script and you analyze what's going on in the scene and what the build is, and you're basically trying to tell a story. And in the same way that you would tell a story to your kid at bedtime or to a friend in a pub, except you're doing it in character.
Yes. Am I on?
Yeah.
Well, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right, because I'm a stage actor. I agree. It's exactly that way. Stage actors may approach things a little differently. There are times when, if there is a picture of the character, then what you want to do is look at, are there any physical characteristics of that character? First, they'll give you a list of, often they'll tell you some background of who the character is, either with a picture or without, for an audition. Sometimes you'll have 2 pages, and I'm not kidding, 2 pages of description of backstory of who the character is, who the parents were, where they came from, how they succeeded in a war, how many children they had, whether they had animals, and I'm not kidding you, they do this sort of thing. And then the lines that you would audition for would be, everything you say, do you realize this? And that's it. There are other times when there's just a picture. And what I do is I look at the structure of the face, the body, are they going for type or against type? And if the character has an underbite, if there's a strange sort of thing happening in the face, or an overbite, you might want to do all those things. You look at the character. Is it a large character? And all the typical things. Is it a small character? How old is it? And all that will inform what kind of voice you might want to work toward technically. But then once you've got all that stuff, you've got to have an attitude, you've got to have a feeling for what that character wants and to tell the story. So there are different ways of approaching it. You want to find something technical, where the placement of the voice is. Is it in the front of the face, or is it back here? That sort of thing. So it's all those kinds of things. You look at the picture, or you read, and you make those decisions. And it's generally now. You make the decision on the go. Sometimes they'll give you some suggestions, sometimes they won't. You just never know. You go with your instincts. So there's actually no real one way of approaching it.
There are so many different acting styles. I mean, from Stanislavski to pure technique, and whatever is comfortable for you in terms of how you can easily develop a character that that you can believe in, can make other people believe in. So yeah, there are as many processes as there are actors, probably.
And you also want to make sure that whatever voice you choose to go with, that it's something that you can sustain. I had an audition at one point for it was a video game. I've never seen it. I don't know whatever happened to it. But the character was called Baby. And Baby looked like a baby, maybe a 6-month-old baby. Had bald head, cute little eyes, but it was like 18 feet tall and couldn't walk, but it smashed everything and had sharp, pointy teeth. So Baby was the monster in the game. So Baby was very loud and basically growling all the time. And when I did the audition, I remember thinking, oh, please don't let me get this. Please don't let me. But I did the audition because the casting director called me in. So I said, cool, got an audition, I'm going to go do it. And then I got it. And it was horrible. Because you do that for 4 hours and you're bleeding from the throat. So that was a bad choice that I made.
I think we all do that at least once.
Yeah. You learn. Hopefully you learn after the first time. Okay, I won't do that again. So make sure it's a voice that you can sustain. So that's really important. Now the things we've got here, these are cheats, because everybody knows who these characters are and what they sound like. And we can do it 2 ways. We can either have them do these characters, have people audition for these characters, or we could change it up a little bit and give you a different direction and let you come up with something on your, you know what I mean? This is all on the fly, can you tell?
I think that's a great idea, because that allows you guys to show your creativity. So instead of imitating Harry Chalk or Frank Welker or David Kay, you guys...
Or Peter.
They've got different scripts.
Oh, the more characters in this one.
Oh, you got different scripts?
Yeah.
Even better.
So you can't copy them.
There we go. Okay.
So, so you've both got a couple of scripts here of Optimus and Megatron. Yeah,
Right.
so it's up to you. Would you like to try and imitate them, or would you like to do a completely different direction, a different interpretation
Well, I mean...
of them both?
Yeah, I mean, we could do just the straight-ahead thing, but gosh, you've heard that, haven't you? So you want us to read this?
Yeah, if that's okay.
All right. So we have a Megatron and we have an Optimus Prime. What's your choice, brother?
I mean, this is a cold read.
Totally cold.
Yeah. We all put you on the spot.
Let's do different characters.
Can you do Megatron as Sean Connery?
Oh, good Lord. I am not an impersonator. It's not a gift that I have.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, it's a gift that I do not want to develop, because I got really aggravated when I kept hearing people, it's like you want to sell your product,
Yeah.
but you don't want to pay Sean Connery.
Yeah.
So you find some cheaper version of Sean Connery. But it's Sean Connery who's selling the product.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it bothers me. So I've never really worked at that.
You want to know something else that bothers me? Having Sean Connery sell the product.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Or, it's not just Sean Connery or George Clooney. Any of those guys make billions of dollars they don't need anymore, so let somebody else have a gig. However, it's your fault because they all assume that, oh, it's George Clooney's voice, I'm going to buy that car. Does anybody buy a car because the commercial sounds like George Clooney? No.
Write the advertising agents and let them know that.
Now, if it was Richard who was doing the voice, and he was, oh, I buy that car, yeah. No, it's one of those things. It's a pet peeve of a lot of actors. However, I never get upset with an actor, whether it's Sean Connery or George Clooney. If I'm going to get upset with anybody, I'm going to get upset with the people who hired them. I never get upset with an actor for taking a gig. Because no matter how rich you are, you always assume that's your last gig. I heard Michael Caine talk about that. Someone asked Michael Caine how he had such an amazing career. He said, I took what was offered. He's done some horrible movies. He's done some great movies.
But he's fed his family well.
Just for revenge.
What?
Jaws the Revenge. He said it's a terrible movie, I've never seen it, but I do like the house I bought with the money is very nice.
There you are.
Yeah.
There you are, yes.
Yeah, we've all done bad movies. I did one with Nicole, what's her name? Anna Nicole Smith.
Oh, dear.
You can see it 3 o'clock in the morning on pay TV. Oh, bad movie. Called Skyscraper. So look for it in your videos.
Because why should you suffer alone?
Okay, let's just do it.
Sure.
A different take on it.
All right.
You choose whoever you want to be on.
Well, I've played Megatron once, so you go ahead.
I'm not going to do it as Megatron.
No, of course not.
Go take
Go
that.
right ahead.
Oh, I talk first.
You talk first.
Prime.
Megatron, so how are we going to play this? Are we going to spend the next hour posturing, or are we going to rise to the occasion and actually have a civilized conversation?
Rise to the occasion. What is this, a summit meeting? I'm bolted to the wall. I'm riddled with inhibitor chips, and I'm precisely one rash gesture away from being electrocuted to death. It's hardly conducive to a frank exchange of views.
Fair point. Take a seat.
Now, what did you want to talk about?
You surrendered. Why?
I thought we'd already had this conversation.
No, we just went through the motions. You provoked me, I reacted. Same as always.
What's happening to my Decepticons? Back on Earth, I mean. Who's taken my place this time?
Forget the Decepticons. Right now, the war exists only in theory. For the purposes of what follows, there is just you, me, and you, and a conversation we've put off far too long.
I've been preoccupied. Worlds to conquer. Enemies to crush with my bare hands. I spend most days scrubbing stale oil from my fingers.
Megatron, everything you say, do you realize this? Everything you say is steeped in hate.
Ah! I learned to hate in a cell much like this one, and I have an Autobot to thank for it. An Autobot with friends in high places who taught me all about violence and its application. In fact, I look back over the last 4 million years and recognize that there have been only... What?
I think it's the number 2.
Oh, okay. Typo. There have been only 2 constraints. Hate and you.
Ta-da!
Okay, now switch roles.
Okay.
Watch, we're both going to do the same.
No, exactly right. Yes, yes.
Prime. Megatron. So how are we going to play this? Are you going to spend the next hour posturing, or are you going to rise to the occasion and actually have a civilized conversation?
Rise to the occasion. What is this, a summit meeting? I'm bolted to the wall, I'm riddled with inhibitor chips, and I'm precisely one rash gesture away from being electrocuted to death. It's hardly conducive to a frank exchange of views.
Fair point. He releases Megatron. Take a seat.
Now, what did you want to talk about?
You surrendered. Why?
I thought we'd already had this conversation.
No. We just went through the motions. You provoked me. I reacted. Same as always.
What's happening to the Decepticons? Back on Earth, I mean. Who's taken my place this time?
Forget the Decepticons. Right now, the war exists only in theory. For the purposes of what follows, there is just me and you, and a conversation we put off far too long.
I've been preoccupied. Worlds to conquer, enemies to crush with my bare hands. I spend most days scrubbing stale oil from my fingers.
Megatron, everything you say, do you realize this? Everything you say is steeped in hate.
I learned to hate in a cell much like this one, and I have an Autobot to thank for it. An Autobot with friends in high places who taught me all about violence and its application. In fact, I look back over the last 4 million years and recognize that there have only been 2 constants, hate and you.
Find all the humor.
Oh, okay, all the humor.
We're going to find all the humor.
All right.
Good luck. We're going to find all the humor we can out of this. What are you going to be?
6 and 1 half a dozen. You want me to be Prime again? Or Megatron?
Do Megatron.
Okay, I'll do Megatron.
Prime.
Megatron! So, how are we going to play this? Are you going to spend the next 4 hours posturing? Or are we going to rise to the occasion and actually get a civilized conversation?
Rise to the occasion. What is this? A summit meeting? I'm bolted to the wall. I'm riddled with inhibitor chips, and I'm precisely one rash gesture away from being electrocuted to death.
Fair point. Yeah. Here, take a seat.
Now, what did you want to talk about?
You surrendered. Why?
I thought we already had this conversation.
No, we just went through the motions. You provoked me. I reacted, same as always.
What's happening to the Decepticons? Back on Earth, I mean. Who's taken my place this time?
What an eccentric performance. Forget the Decepticons. Right now, the war exists only in theory. For the purposes of this, what follows, there's just me and you. Oh, and the conversation we put off for far too long.
I've been preoccupied. Worlds to conquer, enemies to crush with my bare hands. I spend those days scrubbing stale oil from my finger.
Megatron? What can you say? Now, do you realize this? Everything you say is steeped in hate.
I learned to hate in a cell, not a cartoon cell, much like this one. And I have an Autobot to thank for it, an Autobot with friends in high places, who taught me all about violence and its application. In fact, I look back over the last 4 million years and recognize there have only been 2 constants, hate and you.
That was, you often will have stuff like that. They'll say, okay, and as a matter of fact, there are times, even in auditions for stage pieces, that I will do that. I will go through something, if you have the time, which you usually don't, but sometimes they'll send you something and you get to work on it at home or whatever, and then record it and send it in. I will do that. I will go through something as ridiculous as it may seem, looking for all the humor in it. Then I'll go through something, look for all the pain, all the anger, all the frustration, everything else. And then finally, when you finally do the last piece, the last choice, you have a little bit of all of it in there without even thinking about it. It's just there, which makes it all richer and multi-level, which is much more fun to listen to.
The saddest thing is we don't often get as much time as we would like to work on stuff. Last night, each of us got an email from across the Chuck that we had an audition to have in by, say, Monday morning. So, oh, okay. It's just, everything is last-minute-itis. And also, there's this amazing paranoia in the industry now about stuff appearing on the internet before it's been released. And so, consequently, we're always signing non-disclosure agreements and not getting the sides till the very last minute so that we are as if we're going to be putting this stuff on the internet, right?
Yeah.
But it keeps us from being able to do our jobs because it's all about preparation. It's all about having the time to try it a half a dozen different ways and see how it all works together.
And at the same time as we're complaining, we know how lucky we are.
Oh.
And we actually get the stars. It's like, oh, good, you did something.
Thank you.
Darn it, oh, good. Yeah.
Oh, rats,
Anyway.
I don't get to watch TV tonight.
So, what have you learned from that? There are tons of ways of doing each character, each role. the only one who decides which is the right way is the person who's hiring you. We will often get things they'll tell you it's one way, it's a military, they want a military take, very serious, sergeant in the army, drill instructor. And then you see the finished product and it's a guy who's talking like this instead. You know, you just never know what they're going to end up with, because that person may have done a different way of attacking something, and it worked. I think the key is not trying to figure out what they want, but figuring out what works for you. And it's always tough to find your own voice. I remember early on, people saying, well, you got to find your own voice. And I said, well, damn, what is my voice? I don't know, what is... And I'm not kidding, it takes a long time to figure out where do I fit in instead of trying to sound like somebody else. You'll get a lot of that. You'll get sound-alikes, like a Sean Connery type. Or I got an audition about a month ago. They wanted a Paul Eiding sound from, and I'm not kidding you, it was from a kids thing I did called Grandfather Z. And Grandfather Z was, it's time to take you to the magical world of Sonorous. Come along. I didn't get it. My agent only submitted me because they wanted a Paul Eiding sound alike for this character, and I had done it. There was only one character from Sonorous, and that was me. But I guess they wanted a Paul Eiding type. They didn't want Paul Eiding, you know. So you'll get those. You'll get something. Try and sound like this, or in the flavor of Optimus, or Megaton, or whatever, you know.
Quite often, what they will wind up casting is the person who surprises them.
Yeah.
The person who makes them laugh. You think they think they want this, and they're always voice references, like this guy from this, and YouTube, like they'll put 3 or 4 YouTube pieces down. Now we like the attitude from this, and the voice from that, and the speech pattern from this. So combine those 3 into a voice that you bring in. What am I doing?
We get that.
Are you kidding?
We get that.
It's quite bizarre, but yeah, basically, you want to surprise them, you want to make them laugh.
One of my favorite ones was, though, we wanted the character to sound real, but not too real.
That's the new one, yeah. Not too cartoony, but cartoon.
But cartoony. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to have people...
Yeah, I mean, we've got about half an hour left, so we've got some scripts here, and we thought that if everyone could divide into groups of, I think maybe 6. We've got 6 characters? 6, so it's a different scene. I'm trying to think which comic it's from. You can work it out. So if we can get into groups of 6, we're going to pass some scripts out, and we're actually going to get people to have a go at reading, and then you and Richard are going to wander around and give you some feedback, or tell you you're doing great, or tell you to leave, I don't know. Hopefully not. Yeah. So
brave boy.
could everyone, as quickly as they can, get into groups of 6? If you don't know them, the better.